Hello, 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 and welcome everyone to this month's LinkedIn Lovin'. It's grateful that everybody can join me, and I'm grateful to be joined today by Mark Endacott, who is a certified business mentor. He's the MD at Endacott Associates, and he's also founder of How to Become a Natural Salesperson. And Mark believes that if anyone can become a good salesperson and feel like a natural, they can do so with the right training and practice. So I'm super, super delighted to have you here, Mark, because you're going to blast all of those wonderful sales myths and share with us how we can actually sell on LinkedIn. Even so, welcome. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Judy. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's super exciting. And just to let everybody know, you're actually down in Devon at the moment. Actually, Mark normally lives in York, don't you? But he's down in Devon supporting his father on their family farm. And you delivered your first lamb this morning.
Yeah, for my first lambs for this year, for this year's crop, the first ones I had to deliver were this morning. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Goodness me. A man of many talents, many talents. So I'd just like to say, just before we start, if anybody here is new to these LinkedIn Lovins and they're wondering what the heck they are short, bite-sized LinkedIn learnings over lunch that are designed to shine a spotlight on the world's leading B2B social media platform. That is, of course, LinkedIn. And every month I'm joined by a guest expert to share their expertise and on subjects that will support your LinkedIn results. And, for sure, this is going to be a great one because, I, for one, don't like selling. And I know a lot of people don't like selling. So I know this is going to be super exciting. So just before we start, if you do have any questions, we do like to make these as interactive as possible. Please put your questions in the comments box and we will aim to get to them. If we don't get to them on the call or on the Lovin', we will answer them afterwards. But enough of me waffling. Let's get on to the exciting bit. And I just want to start with, actually what is selling? Because I think there's so many misconceptions, isn't there, around it, where, and it's perceived as being difficult.
Yeah, I mean, people have this thing with selling that they think selling is the used car salesman, the sleazy, wearing a shiny suit approach, and a lot of dishonesty and anything to make a few pounds. Selling is actually it's a combination of marketing, branding, customer awareness, and then obviously there is pitching and closing as part of the selling journey. But yeah, it's really more than actually being able to sit in front of somebody and sell to them. There's a lot more to a sales process than that.
I can imagine it is, and I think maybe that's why people have that misconception, because it's that second-hand car salesperson, isn't it? Here's, do you want to buy this dodgy deal and stuff. So what is it that you think people struggle with selling so much? What are the biggest challenges you see that they have when it comes to selling?
So by far and away, the biggest issue is a fear thing. Whether that's fear of rejection, fear of money, like people have different hang-ups around selling, in my experience. And what I quite often end up doing is we almost do a bit of a psychological deep dive into where they come from, where those things come from, and how people can get over them. But the most common one is people struggle with actually closing a deal. So they might do their marketing really well, they might do their branding really well. If you follow the old funnel analogy, they get everybody in at the top of the funnel, and then when they get to the bottom of the funnel, they never actually ask for an order. They never close the deal. That's by far and away the most common challenge and problem that I see, and people don't know how to do that well and effectively, and that's what I absolutely love to talk through with people.
I must admit, I think that's probably, I am of the opinion that, wrongly probably, or that if I'm having a conversation with them about, somebody wants some LinkedIn training, for example, I'm having that conversation with them, I automatically assume that they will ask me for the sale in a way.
Yeah, and there is you build it and they will come approach that you can use, but the reality is you're leaving so much on the table when you do that. if you put the time and effort into building a relationship with this person, identifying what their concerns are and how you can address those concerns, you have every right to ask them if they'd be interested in pursuing that with you. It's more of a situation that you have earned that right. So by all means, just ask. And it's easy to say just ask, and that's the hard thing that people struggle with. But if you actually think about why you get to ask and why you have the right to ask, it makes it a lot easier.
And I guess if we take the approach that we're actually helping them, isn't it? Selling, I think is not a great term, is a word, and we see selling as being a bad thing. But actually, it's actually we're inviting people to help them, aren't we? We're helping them.
Yeah, and for me, that is kind of the difference between being the sleazy used car salesman who's selling a car that he knows will barely make it off of the dealership, you know, tarmac,
Yeah.
versus that most of the people that I come in to deal with, that they truly believe that what they have to offer will help people, and they struggle with how to articulate it in a way that makes it attractive for potential customers and potential clients and things like that. So, it's about how you frame it, that you are there to help. You're not there to make money from these people. That's the natural byproduct of you having a skill set that will help these people. But it is 100%, it's all about helping people.
So is that what forms, when you talk about the natural salesperson, what is that? What do you mean by the natural salesperson, or how to become a natural salesperson?
So this is the thing, like, I take the approach that you can have natural talent and natural gifts for certain things, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be good at them. And I look at it this way: if you're learning to play the piano, you can be naturally gifted at the piano. You still have to put the time in and learn how to do it, and learn how to play the scales, learn how to read the music to be good at it. And I view it the same way with sales. You have people who have a natural charisma, a natural confidence, and I'm fortunate in that I'm one of them. But over the years, I've still had to learn and hone my craft to reach the point where I'm good at it, to the point that it feels like second nature. And it's often like, if you think about driving a car, that's not a natural thing. Like, even Lewis Hamilton had to learn how to drive a car. So it's one of those things that you learn how to do it. The more you do it, the more autonomous it becomes, the more natural it becomes. The next thing you know, you can get in a car, start it, and set off without thinking. The more time you put into learning how to sell, following a process, and really understanding what it is that people are looking for in a sales journey, the more time you spend doing that, practicing that, the better you will become at it.
That's unconscious, was it unconscious competence, is it, where you just know what you're doing instinctively, and you've got to that point? So look, for me, and probably a lot of people, we're at that point where we're consciously incompetent at selling, if we want to put it that way. And maybe I'm being a little bit hard there, because I think, going back to what you said, that we shouldn't differentiate really selling from marketing and branding. It's just all part of the same process.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's all about getting yourself out there. That the branding and the marketing are what build authority in you as a person, in what you do, in your service, in your product, in your offering. And then it's, look at Amazon. What are Amazon known for? Speedy delivery and reliable delivery. It's not often that Amazon deliver the wrong thing or deliver late. That's what they're known for, and that only came through them pursuing that as their goal. It's the same kind of thing. If you want to be known as Judy Parsons, the LinkedIn lady, the LinkedIn expert, you've spent the last 10 years building that persona, building that profile. And when I first came across you 10 years ago, I knew immediately what you were about. And we didn't actually meet until last year. So
Yeah.
I've known for 10 years that you were the LinkedIn lady without ever having met you. So it's about the branding, your marketing. They help you to sell because they help people know what you're about. The actual art of selling itself and a sales pitch, incorporates all of that, and you have to be consistent and authentic. If your branding and your marketing isn't super consistent, isn't particularly authentic, then when you come to actually pitch and you come to sell to somebody and you start a conversation with somebody, then what they've been seeing in your branding and in your marketing might not be what you're actually like and what you're about, and that might put them a bit uneasy and put them off purchasing from you. So it's about it all coming together as a group, really.
I love that. Yeah, it's consistency, because that's what I always say about LinkedIn. It's about being consistent, isn't it? And so the selling part of it, or how you sell. I mean, I hate the word sales pitch, because I think maybe that's one of the terminology that puts people off with sales. It's like,
what are your hang-ups, Judy?
Oh yeah, mate. One of my hang-ups with the sales thing is that word pitch. Because it feels to me like I'm selling me, and then I get, maybe that comes down to what the fear is of rejection, that people will go, no, and I take it personally that they've rejected me. Maybe that's a really interesting, isn't it, to understand what's beneath those fear of selling, because a lot of people worry about coming on LinkedIn, and which we'll come to in a minute, but will worry about coming across as salesy and pushy, and they don't want to be somebody who's like that. And of course, there's quite a lot of people on LinkedIn now that you hear it all the time, don't you? You connect with somebody and straight away you get a direct message going, come and buy my stuff, and everybody's going, no, you haven't even looked at what I do, and stuff like that. And I think this is what people, myself included, worry about when it comes to selling, and especially on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've just got to remember, at the end of the day, LinkedIn as a platform, it's a sales platform. You're not on LinkedIn for anything other than personal or professional gain. And that's the case for everybody. Everybody that is on LinkedIn is there for either personal or professional gain. And the minute we all kind of stop ignoring that fact and start accepting that fact, your mindset will change towards it. But it's, yeah, the whole instant connection request followed by the straight hard sell. This is what I can do for you. Yeah, that's not selling. That's just that's the old hard school cold call telesales approach.
Yes.
That it didn't work 20 years ago. It didn't work 40 years ago. So it certainly doesn't work in today's world, where information is freely available and you want people to take a bit of time to get to know you before they pitch to you.
Exactly, which I think is a really good point to come on to. Actually, how do we go about selling on LinkedIn, without being salesy? And I know obviously you've been on LinkedIn a good while now, and that's, how has selling on LinkedIn changed for you?
Yeah, so I first got on LinkedIn 2012, 2013, sometime around then. And at that point in time, I ironically was in a kind of more telesales type situation. And all I used LinkedIn for was finding the name of the person who was responsible for purchasing at a company. I had the company phone number from the phone book. If I rang that number, the receptionist would say, who do you want to speak to? And if I said somebody in purchasing, they would say, see you later. If I had the name,
Yes.
which LinkedIn gave me, I was straight through to that person. I could try and talk to them. It was a great tool for getting around the gatekeepers back in those days. So I never actually sent a connection
100%.
request. I think I was on LinkedIn for 4 years and I had about 12 connections. It wasn't until kind of more recently that my whole approach towards LinkedIn changed. And to be fair, I think in the last 5 years, LinkedIn on the whole has massively changed. And probably even in the last 3 years, probably since the pandemic, people have really started to use LinkedIn very differently. And if you want to sell on LinkedIn, you need to remember that, again, it's about consistency. Your profile, your posts, your comments, your general persona on LinkedIn needs to be authentic. It needs to reflect who you are, what you do, and how you can help people. So when you are sending out those, putting out those posts, sending those comments, it's all about, you adding value and being helpful. And all that does is it subliminally tells people what you do. you're in a position, Judy, where I imagine you probably don't have to go out and sell too much. People probably come to you, or people recommend you because it's what you're known for. And that is a great position to be in. You still have to know how to close when you have those conversations,
Yes.
but otherwise you're leaving a lot on the table. But it certainly makes it easier, and that's because the persona that you've produced on LinkedIn is a reflection of who you are, so it's very authentic. But it's also very clear what you do, how you help, and who you're looking to help from the type of posts and content you put out there. The important thing that when it comes to selling on LinkedIn, the sales aren't done in the comments. The sales aren't done in the posts. That's your brand awareness. That's your marketing. That's you generating an interest in you. The sales are done in the DMs. If you're not using LinkedIn's direct message functionality and taking a tailored approach, going, okay, I've connected with these people. They've liked some of my posts around this topic. I've liked some of their posts. We've had some comments back and forth. There's a bit of a relationship there. I'm going to jump in the DMs. I'm going to message them. It won't feel like it's out of the blue because I'll relate it back to the comments we were talking about on this post. So I'll message them on LinkedIn in the DMs privately, because in that circumstance, they're more likely to talk openly about something they might want help with than they are in a comment section of the public forum. Once you've sent those DMs, you can try and sell in the DMs. My personal approach is to, from the DMs, get on a Zoom call, get on a phone call, meet in person, schedule a meeting. And from those meetings, that's where you have the real opportunity to sell. That's how I use LinkedIn now.
Yeah. That is so interesting, Mark, because I think that follows the process that I talk about a lot when I'm training people. Profile first and foremost. I bang a drum about this so much because it's not the most exciting part of LinkedIn, but it's so important because it does position who you are and how you help and what you do. And it's your shop front on there. And I think sometimes if you miss that step out, it makes it incongruent then when you are posting and trying to DM people. So really big first step. And then it is about having those conversations with people. So I'm really glad you said that, because I was thinking I was doing it all wrong. Because my view is that you're on LinkedIn. It's like a networking platform. You get to meet people, you get to know them, and then it's about taking them off LinkedIn and into a conversation. So, but I think the bit that for me personally, which is a big light bulb for me here, is that DM bit, is using that direct messaging better. And I think one of the challenges is then how people actually write their DM messages and things like that, which I'm sure is something that you cover in your how to become a natural salesperson course, which we can't probably go into too much. But like you say, you refer back to the conversations, aka the posting and the engagement that you're having on there. Which is fantastic. That's really good to hear. And it's one of the things we were going to say today as well is that we were going to call them sell me this pen scenarios. Mark has volunteered to say that if you've got any scenarios where you would like some help in selling a service or a product, then bob it into the comments box, and if we have time, Mark will give you some tips on that. But actually we have got one in the comments already, if that's all right. I mean, one example was me. So for example, I want to I'm promoting LinkedIn company page training to marketing managers. So if I want to sell LinkedIn training to marketing managers, how do I go about doing that from LinkedIn in your expert opinion, Mark?
Yeah, so firstly, find some of the content that those marketing managers are putting out there.
Yeah.
Look for the opportunities within that. So particularly the content that's relevant to they're struggling with engagement, or they need to improve this facet of their marketing approach, or the business wants to do this, or the business is doing really well at this and it's something that you could translate into. Well, imagine if you did that with your LinkedIn company page. Comment on those kind of things. Start to build some familiarity. And this is the thing for me is I have people that I am what I would call LinkedIn familiar with. So, you can be LinkedIn familiar in terms of you see them, they like your posts, they might comment every now and then. You might see their posts and like their post, and you might comment back. I'm LinkedIn familiar with a lot of people. The people who I want to sell to then get moved into DMs, and I start messaging them, and I start having that conversation, actually building a genuine relationship with them. So what I would suggest for you, Judy, is you kind of piece out that the next month, the next 6 weeks, your posts are going to be around that topic, around company pages for marketing managers, and how you can help marketing managers with their company pages. You start commenting on marketing managers' posts around that topic, and around how you can help and how you can add value. And those that respond to that, those that comment back, those that like your comments, those that like your posts and comment on your posts, jump in the DMs with them, drop them a message and just say, I'd love to explore this further with you. Do you have the time for a chat? I know that obviously we're on the same page around this topic. We've both been commenting similar things, posting similar things. So let's get together. Let's actually talk about it. I'd love to do that with you. That's the approach that I would take if I was in your position, Judy, with that.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I think, like I said before, it's the DM piece that I'm missing, and I'm sure a lot of people are, that it's that next step, isn't it? And it's what you said at the beginning, because we can all do marketing, we're all doing the branding, it's the closing the sale. And it's actually not so much selling on LinkedIn, but it's how do we get them from LinkedIn, having built that relationship, into that conversation, that closing piece, isn't it? I think that's the biggest challenge. I've got one here for you. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell me the name of the person. It just says LinkedIn user. So sorry about that, LinkedIn user, whoever that may be. I'll probably see once we've come off the live. But this is interesting because they're attending their first trade fair in March, and their research who's attending on LinkedIn. What's the best recommended approach for selling my services? Do I introduce myself on LinkedIn and wait for the trade fair before I pitch? Or do I sell my services now and arrange to meet them at the fair? So this is quite interesting, actually, because I think if this was me and I was attending a trade fair or an exhibition or an event or somewhere, definitely want to see who else is attending. My first approach would be to go in and connect with them for sure. Say, oh, I see we're both going to this event, so that I introduce myself for sure. But I guess we can then, anyway, I won't steal your thunder. I'll shut up.
no, you're going on the right line there. So yeah, I would take the same approach. I would personalize a connection request to explain we're both attending this exhibition. I'd look forward to seeing you there. Depending on what their LinkedIn content looks like, will determine if you have the opportunity to get familiar and put yourself in front of them before the event. So again, once you've connected with them, your next post should be relevant to them. If you're really wanting to do business with this person, connect with them, post half an hour later exactly about the kind of thing you want them to interact with. You'll see if they respond to it, if they like it, if they comment on it. Have a look at their content, look for those opportunities to comment saying, that's really insightful, that's really interesting, I talk about this kind of thing, I experience this as well. Build some familiarity with that person, and then in the DMs go back in and go, would it be possible for us to arrange a meeting at the exhibition rather than just the off chance we bump into each other? It'd be really good to get to know you better in person and to talk about this. And I think that would be the approach I would take. But you may well get the opportunity to sell to them before the exhibition. And that's where you have the choice of how hard you push. And all of that is entirely on feedback. So, if you're commenting on their things and then you put a post out and they don't really respond to your post, okay, they might not have seen it. If they've recently connected with you, odds are they will have seen that post. Yeah. That's how LinkedIn tends to work. So if that post hasn't resonated with them, perhaps you need to reevaluate if they are the right kind of person for you. And again, that's where, can we meet up at this event and just get to know one another a bit better? That's your opportunity then to really sound out if they're the right prospect for you.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice there. And I think that's exactly what I would do, because when you meet people, when you go and connect with people on LinkedIn, they look like they're an ideal client. They fit your ideal client persona, but they don't know you. You're cold, essentially, and you're a stranger. So you can use LinkedIn in this situation to warm the people that look really interesting. You can warm them up first before you go and or to get that meeting, I guess. But it's about using LinkedIn to warm people up, isn't it? So they know what you do and who you are, and actually want to talk to you.
Yeah, again, it comes back to becoming LinkedIn familiar. You become LinkedIn familiar, that's where the relationship starts. If you're LinkedIn familiar with somebody, then they're more likely to be positive to seeing a message from you, and then the relationship can really flourish and build. But it is also, as much as anything, it's about validating that is somebody that you want to spend your time on. So if you see that they're attending,
Yes.
their job role looks like the right thing, you connect with them, and then when you look at their profile, actually, perhaps not, some of their posts, their content, they seem to already be like, they might be commenting on other people's posts. So you can look at their activity on LinkedIn, and they might be commenting on other people's posts saying, oh yeah, that's fantastic, I use such and such for the very service you were going to try and sell them. And it's about being aware of that as well.
I think that is a really good point, because it's also qualifying people, isn't it? That quality, because I think the thing for me as well is that it's not a numbers game. It's not throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. It's you'd much rather have sort of, I don't know, 5 very highly qualified people to speak to rather than 50, for example.
100%. Yeah. So I remember I was working for a wholesaler in the kind of building trade, and I did that exact thing. So we had a special offer running one day. I sat down and went, right, I'm going to ring these customers and offer them a special offer. We're going to get a lot of sales. And the managing director said, well, how many people are you going to, how do you know who to ring? And I said, easy. I will go through their data. I will look at when they last purchased this product we have on offer. If they've never purchased it, I'm not going to ring them. They're clearly not interested in it. If they've never inquired about it, I'm not going to offer it to them. I'm focusing, for this day we have this offer on, I'm focusing on people who I know will buy it, who have an interest in it, who might have purchased it 12 months ago but not since. And we sold £75,000 of a £15 product that day. Purely through telesales.
Wow. Yeah, that is really good. That is really interesting. So I think then, in terms of people, I mean, if anybody's got any questions any more on here, I can't see any more questions. I know there's a bit of a lag, but if you do have any more questions for Mark, please do put them in the comments box, and if we don't get them to them now, we'll get to them afterwards. But I think if we were to say, what do people, so for A, they've got to understand what's the fear of selling, so what's stopping them from selling, and then what else, once they've got past that, what do you think the top 3 things they should do to help them sell better?
So if they want to sell better, they need to understand. Well, yeah, they need to understand, like I say, what their fears are around the sales process, what's holding them back from asking people to part with money.
Yeah.
Then they need to make sure that they are qualifying who they sell to, and spending that time appropriately. But then really, when it comes down to selling and making selling feel natural, you need to build those relationships. Like I could turn around to anybody in the comments and be like, right, I'm going to sell you sales training, and it would feel very, hang on, what? You don't know if I even want
what you need. What you need, Mark, is sales training. That's what you need.
Exactly. No, and it's not about that. It's about actually, get to know me. Let's spend some time getting to know one another. Let's become LinkedIn familiar. Then let's build a relationship. Let's get in the DMs. Let's talk to one another. Let's see if there's an opportunity to meet face to face or jump on a Zoom call. But identify how you can help people. So when you are positioning your service, when you're positioning your product, understand how you can help people with it. And that is all you should talk about.
I love that. I love LinkedIn familiar and how you can help people. And that should be first and foremost everything that we do, isn't it? On LinkedIn or any other marketing or any other networking, whatever it is we're doing, be in a position of how can I help you, rather than
100%.
Here's my stuff, buy it. I love that. I think that is a brilliant place to stop there, because we are coming up to the hour. I'll just check. So we've put in the comments a link to Mark's course, how to become a natural salesperson. Did you want to just say a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so it's currently in kind of pre-testing, so it will be going live hopefully by the end of the month. I've been saying that every month for 4 months. That's how
You've
long
got
it
to do
takes to
it
edit
now, though,
videos,
Mark. You've
apparently.
got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so you can sign up and you'll get notified when it goes live. But it's going to be a short format video course spread over 7 modules on how to become a more natural salesperson. So it takes you through my entire sales process from start of how I would look for potential prospects and how I would understand those prospects, all the way through to how to identify what their needs are, how to sell to those needs, and closing is also a huge part of it as well. So it's an online course to make it more accessible for people, because not everybody wants to work one-on-one. Not everybody has the time to work one-on-one, so it's something they'll be able to do in their evenings or the weekends at their own pace as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, thank you again, Mark, for being on here. I really do appreciate it. Some fantastic tips. I know it's a challenge I have, and I know it's a challenge everybody has, and I'm sure there is so much more that we could be talking about. Please, if you do have any more questions, just put them in the comments box and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. But I think in the meantime, till next month, thank you very much for joining myself and Mark live here on LinkedIn, and see you next time.